Now the next story is a bit of a more sad one. I hope you've got your beer, and so here goes the story. When we came to Japan, we came with essentially no money. Here's the plan. We're going to come to Japan, just the two of us. We were tired of going to school, so we came to Japan. You know, I thought it'd be an adventure. And I was going to get a job. She was going to get a job. We were going to live with her parents for the first 2 months or so. And then we were going to, you know, after we would both get jobs, we could save up a little money and move on out. You know, I thought it'd be fairly simple. But it wasn't quite so simple. When we came to Japan on a Friday. The following Friday, she comes out and says, "I'm pregnant." Yeah. So been in Japan for a week, and then we find out that the missus is pregnant. Alright, so that's a bad situation. I don't have a degree, so it's not easy to find a job in Japan. Even if you're native, it's not easy to find a job without a degree. So all of a sudden our plans have to suddenly change. Obviously she can't work if she's pregnant, you know, and especially if she tells anybody that. Of course they won't hire her. Nobody wants to hire a pregnant girl. They're just going to quit in a few months anyway, right? So now all of a sudden the pressure's on me to find a great job, not just part-time, where, you know, even if we're both working part-time, you know, we can still move out on our own. I now have to find a full-time job, something with good pay and benefits. Oh, the pressure's on now, alright? I'm going to be a dad in, you know, 9 months. Alright, so that's where we're starting from. And then a couple weeks later, her mom went crazy. Alright, so we're living with her mom and dad. And then apparently I did something rather minuscule. I think her mom came home one day and the air conditioner was a little too low. She thought it was a bit chilly. She went berserk. So come to find out, she's bipolar. Her mom is bipolar. It means when you're bipolar, you have periods of where you're up or where you're really down. Alright? Like really, really down. And it'll last for maybe 3 or 4 days, and then it'll finish for a little while. And then you'll be up, and then you'll be back down. Alright? So her mom is bipolar. And she would get incredibly mad, incredibly depressed. Like, we were scared. It literally made us sick to go home. You know, we would just go to Kyoto Station and we would just sit there on the steps, you know, just hating to go home. We just really hated to go home. We would honestly feel sick when we had to go home. That's how bad it was. Her mom, when she was really down, she would, you know, the house it's a row house, alright? So next door you could hear the TV, and you know, one night we were upstairs in our bedroom, already gone to bed, and her mom was downstairs yelling at the people next door to turn down their TV. I mean, literally, it was and is now more than ever crazy. It's only gotten worse over the past few years. Alright, so her mom is crazy. Dad is an alcoholic. Alright, let me disclaim this. I drink a little. I don't drink that much. I'm not an alcoholic by any means. Or else I'd try to hide my drinking from you, right? Alright, so, but he would drink, like the tall ones of these, like 2 a day. Like, you know, you just look at him, his face is red, his eyes are red, he's short in his speech. And, you know, so he's an alcoholic. And, of course, if you were married to her, I'd be one too. Her dad then pressures me to take this job. So he sells paint to this fishing lure company. I don't know anything about fishing. My dad took me fishing a few times when I was young, but I don't really know anything about fishing. And it's a bass fishing lure company. Alright, so making bass lures by hand. So he got me a job there. It's only part-time. It was starting off 750 yen an hour. I mean, I could have worked at Starbucks and made more, right? So I was pressured to take this job because, you know, her mom is crazy and wants me to hurry up and get a job already. Alright? And she really hates me, by the way. I took the job, and it was awful. Like, I'm awful at it. I don't speak any Japanese, either. Like, I didn't speak any Japanese before coming to Japan, other than oishi and ohayo gozaimasu and arigato gozaimasu. I mean, that was basically my Japanese vocabulary before coming to Japan. So I don't speak any Japanese, and I don't have any experience making Japanese fishing lures. So I'm now working in a Japanese factory, making Japanese fishing lures by hand, being taught in Japanese and it's just awful. I'm very bad at it, and you know the people that work there are very nice, and I still see some of them to this day. So that was the job I was doing. I was making fishing lures here in Kyoto in a Japanese factory, in Japanese, learning in Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese. Alright, so that was awful. I'm also very bad at making things with my hands. It's true. It's just a curse, because I never did it growing up. So I worked there for a couple months. We stayed there with her parents until August. Finally, in August, her grandmother, who just lives maybe a 10-minute walk from her parents, finally allows us to move in with them. They have a big house with lots of extra rooms down in Arashiyama, just 10 minutes from her parents' house. She finally gets over herself and allows us to move in with them. And that is one of the best things that happened to us. Alright? So we move in with them, and we were just so ecstatic getting out of her parents' house. Honestly, it was incredible. Of course, her grandparents weren't perfect. Nobody is. But thankfully, they aren't crazy. Well, alright, her grandfather's senile. But he's not like a mean crazy like her mother. Alright, cool. And, yeah, it was an awful time dealing with her parents. And occasionally they'd come over and start bothering us again. And her dad would come over without her mom knowing. But, he started to go crazy too. He finally snapped one day and he started cutting his wrists. And, he's still alive, trust me. He's still alive. So he starts cutting his wrists, and he starts driving crazy, and he wrecks the company car, and they fire him, and it's just crazy. And yeah, so now they're both crazy. All right, both husband and wife, they're both crazy. All right, cool. So I stay working at the fishing lure company for a year and a half. I worked there for a year and a half, and finally December 2006, I say, look, this is enough. I can do so much better. I'm going to go out and find an English teaching job. And so I did. And I got a full-time job. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I thank God for it all the time. I mean, my salary jumped 2/3 on a really good month. If I were working lots of overtime and whatnot at the fishing lure place, I would make 150,000 yen. Which is maybe an American $1,300 a month. All right. Now, you know, my salary jumped 2/3, and it's a much easier job. Like, you have no idea. All right. So I went out and I found my new job, cause we couldn't live with her grandparents anymore. You know, they they wanted some more money. All right. They were always complaining about using too much electricity or using too much water, and so they wanted more money. Or her grandmother wanted more money all the time. She wanted to make some money off of us. All right, and furthermore, her grandmother wanted us to appease her parents. You know, because her parents are the crazy ones, right? So anything to make them happy. Okay, so that's what her grandmother's like mission in life is. Just anything, give them as much money as they want. I won't get into all the money stuff with you, but needless to say, almost every yen that her grandmother's ever had has gone to her parents. Alright? So, they're crazy. Alright, cool. So, I get my new job. A few months of saving up with my new job, and we move out into our new house. And we're so much happier here. But it's still not perfect, because we're still in Kyoto, and we're still not too far from her parents. I'd have been much happier moving outside of Kyoto, but my wife doesn't want to leave Kyoto. Or at least didn't at the time that we were moving, although now we're trying to go back to America. My wife is thrilled about that.